We are 24 hours removed from probably the biggest victory in Duke football history. And hey, we all survived. We're not in jail. So, guess what? You get to see a great episode of the Section 17 podcast brought to you by Comfort Mechanical Contractors, Durham's premier commercial HVAC installation and service company. And as always, I'm your host, Brian Kennedy. I'm very tired. It was a long night. I'm joined by my co host, Josh Cox, who barely has a voice, Scott Medlin, who, for some of you who may not know, is recovering on the mend from the brutal heat that we had during the tailgate. And of course, Jamie Holt, who, he was a trooper. He bitched a little bit about being there at 8 a.m. I'm just going to say it, but hey, and for the first time in 3 years, we never thought this would happen. But producer Justin Sykes has decided to join us. There he is to talk all things Clemson. But before we give our thoughts on the 28-7 victory from last night's game, we've got to hear from the man himself, Coach Mike Elko, post-game afterwards.
First of all, hats off to Clemson again. You know, that's a tremendous program, and that's still not lost on anyone in this building. In a lot of ways, at times, they really outplayed us tonight, and we were able to make enough plays to win. Thank you to Duke, and to the students, and to the fans. What an amazing atmosphere that was for Duke football. I think that carried us, at the times when we were having to really dig our heels in and find ways to make plays. Having that stadium look like that and having those people look like that is something that continues to drive us. And so thank you all for coming out. We need you guys all year. We need you to continue to support this team. And then, to our team, I just told them this in the locker room. It's a testimony to what you can accomplish if you put yourselves together and you're willing to give a lot to an organization. These kids work so hard. They put so much into this thing. And they just continue to fight and come together to be successful. And so really, really happy for those guys, really happy for what they accomplished, really happy for this night. And I'll finish like you guys will expect to, that, that's one win, and we still got a lot more to play.
And again, that was head coach Mike Elko giving his thoughts post-game after the upset victory on Clemson 28-7. And thank you to Duke Report and Freddie Hodges for that video he allowed us to use on tonight's episode. So, fellas, let's jump right in it. A historical win for the Duke Blue Devils, probably the biggest win that any of us have seen in our lifetimes. And really, this is going to be a catapult into the rest of the 2023 season. So let's go ahead. We've got Lafayette coming up Saturday, but honestly, everyone wants to hear our reaction to the big win over Clemson.
Let's go. That's all I can say, man. I can't even think there is not another game, Brian. You're right. Not another game in my lifetime. I was thinking 2012 UNC, but that got us to 6-6. I was thinking 89, but I was only 7 years old, and I don't know if it had all the implications. This one was incredible. Maybe if we would have beaten Texas A&M in the Chick-fil-A Bowl, potentially, but we didn't win. So, it is this game. This will be the game I will never forget. All the details, everything about it, from all the people coming to the tailgate, ESPN crew, the whole 9 yards. Durham Devils Club representing some there as well, and then the game itself. Brian got his vaunted $2 bill.
Did you know?
That's right. That's right. But yeah, man, at the end of the day, guys, any other games you can think of that even compare to this game that I didn't mention?
I can't. The only thing I would say about the 89 game is the fact that they were in the hunt for the ACC title and ended up sharing the ACC championship. But I still think this one is the biggest in my lifetime. So the great poet, actually, DJ Khaled, said, all I do is win, win, win. Yeah. And all Dabo does is cry, cry, cry. Now, I added that. DJ didn't actually say that. I added that. But I heard from some sources in South Carolina that Dabo could be heard sobbing throughout the entire state of South Carolina last night.
Wait, is he still walking to the visitors' locker room?
It's I think so. Yeah. It is a long walk.
Yeah. Well,
shout out to the Duke football media team for that tweet earlier, because that was hilarious about the walk got him.
Yep.
So you figure that you're just talking about the walk. if you're going to take the walk anyway, it's a long enough walk when you're taking an L if your backside just got handed to you by a team that you don't. I don't think they respected. National media still doesn't respect Duke to a point. They think it's a thing about Clemson. No, Duke just went out there and slapped them around. Their defensive line got barely. Riley got touched once or twice because Riley was running for his life a couple times. But for the most part, the only time Riley got touched was when he ran into somebody.
Yep.
Their offensive line constantly, Peoples, Oben, Carter, Anthony, those guys were constantly in the backfield the whole night.
Nelson.
Those guys were everywhere. The D line was there. And one of the things I think that was great about the whole night, and people I know have referenced this 3 or 4 times today, was the fact that obviously we were the fresher team. And we rotated so much. They had such a great plan where they would 3 and 4 here, 3 and 4 there. And Leo, I think Coach Elko mentioned it when we interviewed him for the DDC, was that they had to stop. You have to stop. They can't snap the football. If they bring somebody on, you can bring people on. So why not use the opportunity in your favor? So that was great. And then one other thing to piggyback on what Coach Elko said, folks, if the students and the fans will come to the games, this is what you're going to get.
Amen.
This is exactly what we have been talking about for years. This team deserves to have it packed out. Now, the official attendance said 31,800. I think there was more than 31,800 there because there was not 9,000 seats empty. But no matter what, 30,000 people there, and I would say it was what, 55-45 Duke maybe?
I think
maybe you guys would disagree?
I think it would be right down the middle because usually the visitor side goes from sections 1 to I think 7, and then all the way on the other side of the bowl, section 31 was full of orange, which you usually don't see for the visitors. I would say 50-50, but as far as being loud, Duke easily 80-20.
And there was only maybe 2 sections on the Duke side that were not completely full or scattered out with seats. So, hey, students, thank you. That's the whole deal. Show up to every game like this. Now, this Saturday, do the same thing. But, folks, this is what we've been talking about. This is what we've been bringing up. These guys deserve it. It was a great atmosphere, and it was the number 9 team in the country. I don't care if they were overrated or not. I don't need to hear all your mess about, they didn't have this. They didn't have that. I don't care. They got their butts kicked by a team that you thought was inferior. Duke is not inferior. Folks, wake up. National media, wake up.
And I will say something to piggyback off what Scott said. The rotation in and out on the defensive side of the ball, there was no noticeable drop off either. Like none that I could see. Like it just kept on. They kept on coming. They kept on staying fresh. Shout out David Feely.
Well,
he's a miracle worker.
Well, and the big moment that we thought would hurt the defense was when Cam Dillon got issued the targeting call, and he had to get removed immediately, which he will be missing the first half of the Lafayette game, which really doesn't hurt us that much. But to Jamie's point, it did not matter. It was the next man up, and this team produced no matter what. Justin, it has been 3 years. Everyone's heard your voice one time. I know you've been building up to talk, but what was your thoughts of the game? You got to watch it on TV.
Yeah, being at work, obviously I had to resort to the TV, but it was very well presented. But they were constantly talking about how Clemson wasn't doing things right. They mentioned Duke every now and then, but they were heavily, wondering what was wrong with Clemson versus what Duke was doing right. And the biggest win of the lifetime kind of thing. I know y'all know this, but the people watching don't. I lost my dad 2 weeks ago, and this would have been the biggest victory in his lifetime too. He would have loved to see it. He was there for '89. He was actually at that game, and then from there until all those 0-11 years, we were there. So
he's got some old memorabilia, right, Justin? Like old what was that old
it was the All-American Bowl. The All-American Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool, man. Really cool. Such a great win. And I do want to mention, Brian, if you want to talk a little bit, we are sponsored also by the Durham Devils Club. Let's talk a little bit about. We had some Durham Devils Club folks there at the tailgate with us on Saturday at the game. Tell if viewers, listeners have not heard of Durham Devils Club yet, what can they get?
Yeah, so we've already had 2 interviews, one with Coach Elko with the season predictions, which if you want to go back and listen, I think it's a great listen, especially after the Clemson win last night. We've interviewed Riley Leonard, great insight. We just sat down, chatted for an hour, could have easily been 2. And we've got a new one coming up in the next week or 2 with Big Wayne, the campaign, Dwayne Carter. But you'll be able to access those interviews. You'll be able to access insider info only. We just found out tonight that you will start being able to watch Coach Elko's pregame pep talk, which we watched part of it already. I was ready to run through a wall already, for the football team. But if you want to listen to our interviews that we conduct with the players, with Coach Elko, you have to be a part of the Blue and White Club at a minimum, and that is $25 a month. Of course, you can give more than that, but we just want to let you know that to listen to all of our content, $25 is the minimum tier. It's the Blue and White tier. Josh?
.com. If you sign up now for the $25 a month or more level, you'll get a free Lock the Gate t-shirt as well. So want to encourage you to do that. If you haven't yet, see the little clip from Elko's pregame speech. You'll get the full one if you're a member. So really, really cool. Really cool.
I want to go back to Clemson really quick because, again, I think we can all agree this is the biggest win probably in the program history in our lifetime, minus maybe the Sugar Bowl back in '61 when Peter Dodge was, freshman, sophomore? I know Jack Wallabaugh was probably a junior that year. I don't know. Y'all help me out with that. But I wanted to bring some to the table, some stats for you folks that might not have heard or seen any of the post-game coverage, just about how important this win was for not only Duke football, but what we did to Clemson football as a whole. So, guys, this is the first win over a ranked team since 2016. Does anyone want to guess what team we defeated in 16 that was ranked?
Pitt.
Nope.
Virginia Tech.
Nope. Jamie, you want to guess?
Well, it's not Virginia. We know that. Carolina.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Chapel Hill College, we defeated them 28-27. So the first time in 7 years we have defeated a ranked team. It's our first win over a top 10 team since 1989 against anyone? Clemson. Jamie was what, 21 at that game? 25?
I was 11.
Okay,
I was
11. This is the largest victory Duke has had over a ranked opponent since 1942. Defeating Colgate 34-0. That was Jack Wallabaugh's freshman year. First ever. This surprised me. This is the first time a Duke team has ever had a victory in the season opener against a ranked opponent. Ever. So kudos to them. This is their first win on a Monday since the 1961 Cotton Bowl, where Duke defeated Arkansas 7-6. And Duke is now 8-0 under Mike Elko when scoring first in a game. So let's keep that trend up heading into Lafayette. And 2 about Clemson. Clemson fans, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, I've got to say this. Clemson did not record a sack for the first time since 2019 against Wofford.
But listen, they hadn't played Graham Barton since 2019.
Very true.
There we go.
Very true. Did you know?
Yeah.
And then this one really caught my eye. Coach Dabo said this in his post-game presser. This is the first time in Clemson's program history where they have had over 200 rushing yards, and they did not win a game. Program history. So, again, this wasn't a flash in the pan, fellas. This wasn't a flash in the pan national media. Duke football is here to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead, Jamie.
I was like, this is kind of what Duke was last year, too. I mean, they gave up more points, obviously, but it was that bend but don't break defense, and they did it all night against Clemson. Between the 20s, Clemson was good. And then you got inside the 20, our defense tightened up, and that's what they did last year, and that's what they've started with this year.
Yeah, let's dig into it. Who stood out on the Duke side for you guys? Let's talk about players, things like that. I'm sure we'll get some questions here in a minute about it, but just initially, who stands out?
I would agree with the first thing that Riley said when he sat down on the huddle set. God is good, and so is our defense.
Amen.
I mean, our defense was everywhere. They talked about on because I went back this afternoon and watched a little bit of the coverage where they were talking about how Miles Jones and Al Blades were over 6 foot, and there was 2 or 3 passes that Miles Jones had it been. And no offense to Chandler Rivers, had it been Chandler on defense, the guy maybe would have made the catch. Miles, much longer arms, was able to tap it through. B.J. Johnson. I mean, I don't need to name 10 names here, but the defensive side to me, those corners, the safeties, that was some of the greatest defense I've seen. And the one pick that got pulled off the board for the whatever penalty, there were 4 guys standing there trying to catch that football.
Mm-hmm.
And there were so many tip balls where there was chances where the guys had a chance to catch. To me, 3 years ago, we were here if we could get one DB to turn his back one time. Now we got 4 guys converging on the football with one Clemson player standing there. Something's working right here finally, and it's a great thing.
We could have intercepted Klubnik 4 times, 5 times. Like, I don't know. It was possible. The chances were there. And for
we
me,
said at halftime, Jamie, remember we were
Yeah.
like, if he keeps throwing it, he's going to throw picks.
Yeah.
He's going to throw a pick.
I was feeling a pick 6 coming. I just knew it was going to happen. It never did, but and they quit letting him throw the ball downfield too. I mean, we noticed they went to crossing routes. They went to short passes. They did not. Dabo didn't trust him to throw the ball downfield. Clemson is in a bad way in my opinion, but I'll get to that another time. The player that stood out for me, obviously,
Oh God.
normally I would say Riley Leonard, but I'm going to piggyback off what Scott said, and I'm going to say Brandon Johnson.
Breaking news. Can we insert breaking news post-production on this one?
Don't worry, Riley. If you're listening, you're still getting my helmet sticker.
400 yards, restraining order.
But yeah, he was all over the field, man. And I love that photo of him just like standing there staring at the Clemson sideline. That was just awesome. He's to me, he's that dude. Like, he might be the alpha of the defense. Like, at least in the secondary.
Hey, he did that 3 times during the game. Just FYI.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Justin, what about you? Anyone stand out while you were watching the game last night?
I don't know what kind of stats he had, but somebody that kind of personifies this team is at least last night was Stinson. The dude got injured. I don't know what kind of injury it was, but later in that quarter, he picked up the ball and almost ran it all the way back.
Yeah.
I think if he hadn't been hurt, he probably would have finished it off. But
well,
yeah, he was all
11,
over the place.
11 tackles, Justin.
Yeah,
he had that fumble recovery, and he had something else, a pass breakup.
Yeah, I mean, so he was all over the field.
We kind of think it might have been the Wallace Wade sniper though, because Clemson was driving pretty heavily, and then something happened. I'm not at all saying that he didn't get injured, but we always like to joke, no matter what team it is, whenever a player goes down very quickly, when a team is about to score, the Wallace Wade sniper makes an appearance.
Hey, when Uncle Mo's going, you got to stop Uncle Mo.
Yes.
However you got to do it, stop him.
For me, Josh hates it when I do this, but I'm going to say the running back room.
It's the entire university.
Yeah. Shout out to the entire team on the roster.
The county of Durham.
Well, no, when we came into this game, there was expected to be 4 running backs possibly on the field. Jalen Coleman, Peyton Jones, Jacquez Moore, Jordan Waters. We got to game time, and Jalen Coleman was in street clothes. We still don't know what the severity of the injury is. We don't know if it was something else, but he did not play last night. Peyton Jones did not hit the field whatsoever. So it was a 2-headed running back. Well, Josh is going to correct.
Kick return.
Well, okay. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm talking in the rushing capacity.
Yeah, no rushing. Yep.
Right. So it was Jordan and it was Jacquez, and they both averaged over 5 yards a carry. So kudos to them. Riley, he went over 100 yards rushing. And if you remember last week's episode, Eric McLean told us Duke will win the game if Riley goes over 100 yards rushing. Now, the box score says 98 yards rushing, but he took a couple of knees to end the game. So he was easily probably 105, 106, but he had to take those knees to down the clock and end the game. So running back room is one of the most secure rooms that we have on this team. That just proves to you someone goes down, next man up mentality. So running backs, another great job.
Yeah, I think for me, you guys have taken almost everyone. I love the depth of the defense. I love that Terry Moore got in. Now we could see him a step. It's like he needed this game to kind of get back in the swing of playing defense. I love the linebacker rotation. Nick Morris Jr., a healthy Dorian Moosey. Who knew? And that was awesome. Trey Freeman with 11 tackles. But my guy is Chandler Rivers. He is one of your smaller cornerbacks, but my guy is a tackling machine. His technique is so good covering. I love watching him play. He's electric. So anyway, we're going to be giving our helmet stickers. They'll release later this week, and that'll be interesting because I think some of us stole each other's helmet sticker people during this, but we'll see. Yeah, no one stole Brian's, but
the entire Duke University gets the helmet sticker. Congratulations,
All the
everyone.
fans, the university.
They'll be getting mailed out to everyone tomorrow. Scott, you wanted to say something?
Well, one person that I just remembered that we need to talk about. Well, it's actually two people. One definitely would be Jordan Moore. He led both of those blocks to get the 2 touchdowns. On Riley, Nicky Dalmolin had the first big block. Then Jordan got the guy down and got the second block there to get Riley for the touchdown, which, in fact, if you go back and watch the video, is unbelievably awesome. As soon as Riley gets to the goal line, he looks at the referee to see if he puts his arms up to make sure he didn't go out of bounds. I noticed that live and thought it was great. Then on the Jaquez Moore touchdown, he sealed the outside there on the sideline and was able to get to the point where he got the touchdown in the corner. And, he didn't have a lot of catches, but he was out there doing what he was supposed to do and opening up plays. And then one of the shout out, and, Brian jokingly said this earlier about Mo McIntyre's family.
yes,
I do appreciate them hooking me up and being there for me when I had the episode there for a minute. And I'm fine. Thank everybody for the prayers and the thoughts and all that other stuff. But Mo being on the field, he got one block. And I'm not sure which play it was, but
he was on one of those screens. He came around and he was lead blocking on that screen.
And it was so good to see him out there in front of everybody, plowing people over for the running back or the wide receiver to get it going. And and we actually ran into the family as we were leaving last night, and we were talking the pleasantries and stuff about what had happened and all that stuff. And I told him, I said, no matter what happened, it was great to see Mo back out there. And they were so excited that Mo was able to be healthy enough to play. And then one other thing, I'm sorry, I'm taking up all the time. The offensive line rotation too, because we did a little bit of the rotating there too, where Pickett would come in and out some, and still Riley didn't get touched unless it was, where he was throwing it away.
What about the ball boy?
Yeah.
I didn't see him catch one. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Hey, did we?
Now, can I say something about Jaquez?
Clemson had 12 of them out there running around.
By the way, Clemson brought their own benches. I guess Duke's benches aren't good enough.
Yeah.
So they brought their own benches. Can I say something about Jaquez?
Divas.
He got that the throw in the fourth quarter, which helped ice the game.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, nothing against Jordan Waters. Nothing. Jaquez Moore is the only running back who scores on that play that Jaquez scored on. Just the way he maneuvers. We don't have another running back, I don't believe, that runs the ball the way he does. So
Jordan's more of a power back. Can we all agree to that?
He wants to run somebody over, which is awesome.
Which is great. Remember the Charlotte game in 2020 where he trucked that dude. We all remember that. Jaquez can just get out to the edges a lot quicker. Jamie?
One more thing. Did we mention Jeremiah Lewis? I can't remember if Scott mentioned him to start. He walked right back into a starting role, and he played really well.
Like he never left.
He had a cast on his hand too, right?
Yeah, on his left hand he had a cast. Something happened with his thumb because it was just his thumb that was casted up.
So it was like he's been there, and he fell right into a starting role, and he played really well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, we could spend this whole episode giving our thoughts, but we want to get to our mailbag questions. And boy, we thought last week it overflowed. This week, you guys have flooded the mailbag with our wanting to know our thoughts, asking questions about the Clemson game. Don't get me wrong, we do have the Lafayette game, but we are going to focus on this win a little bit more than we do any other win. So, Jamie, we know you got a lot to go through, so let's get going with the first question in the mailbag.
All right, starting off with Twitter this week. I'm back to leaning
Back
towards
to
Twitter.
normal.
Yeah,
Back to
yeah.
normal. Okay. And it's X, not Twitter.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. At FishFry02. It was good to see him at the tailgate too. He says, if Duke can beat FSU, do you think an ACC title game appearance could be possible if Duke takes care of business? Now, I mean, yeah, that's definitely possible, but in my humble opinion, I'm like, let's pump the brakes just a little bit. Like, let's just beat Lafayette next week.
Well, yeah, and you still have State. You still have Chapel Hill College. Like, don't get me wrong, we could beat an FSU and then something happens to us at one of those games that we thought was an easy win or an expected win. It would be great. It would definitely put us in more of a talking point of being the top two teams. But just like Coach Elko says, we got to take this season one game at a time. So, sorry, that's Coach Elko talk there, but that's what we're being trained to think, just like he does.
If y'all thought we were insufferable after beating Clemson, if we beat FSU in Tallahassee, yeah, it's
Jordan Mann at Duke football fans will have no pants after that game. Legit. He might get arrested for public indecency.
Last night, almost. I mean, just that one win, it almost happened. So, all right, next.
At TS Lester, does College Game Day come to town if we're undefeated going into the Notre Dame game?
All right, let me take this one. So I agree with Brian and Coach Elko, like one game at a time, okay? But I cannot help myself. The next 3 games, Lafayette, Northwestern, UConn, those are supposed to be wins. So that tells me that we're going to go into that Notre Dame weekend 4-0. We're already ranked 21st and 24th in the polls. By that time, we'll be in the top 20. Who knows what happens ahead of us? We could be 15. We have no idea. And Notre Dame, now they've got NC State this week. We'll find out about Notre Dame somewhat more this week. But Notre Dame could be undefeated. They have Ohio State, though.
They have Ohio State the week before.
That's before us.
So they could have one loss, or they could beat Ohio State. Who knows? It could be 2 undefeated teams. So to answer that question, it could happen.
Not so fast, my friend.
What else is that weekend? Brian's got the game.
You've got LSU and Mississippi, currently 14th and 20th.
Yeah.
You've got USC in prime time.
Oh, Colorado. But that's a Fox game, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true, but they could still be there. They could be outside the stadium.
Sometimes they'll do that, but yeah.
And I'm just looking at top 25 games. And then you've got Utah and Oregon State, who are currently 12th and 16th. So, yeah, there's a good chance, but let's wait till wait till after that UConn game up in Connecticut, which could be a difficult or a tricky game for sure.
Yeah, and my 2 cents worth on that, Duke is one of the places they've never been. They're looking for an opportunity to mark names off the list.
Where would it? Okay, let's just have some fun really quick. Where would it be? Krzyzewskiville?
Yeah, it would have to be in Krzyzewskiville.
Or
out in front of Wallace Wade.
It could be in front of Wallace Wade and Cameron, rather than the Duke store.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's got to be where it's at. Like, I don't think you put it in front of Cameron.
Oh, okay. Stop talking. We don't want to jinx it. We don't want to jinx it. All right. Next question.
Knock on wood.
All right. Yes. Next question comes from Matt Memrick, who's actually a longtime friend of mine, known him since elementary school. At MVM Paper, how do you keep the high of Monday night all through the week? And also, he asked, if we could make T-shirts celebrating the big win, what would be on them?
All right. Here, I'll give my answer. You guys can give yours. The best way to stay hyped all week is to follow us on social media. We will keep you hyped all week long. So follow us on social media. If we made shirts, I think we all would agree on this. We mentioned it offline. You've seen all the quotes, but I think it's the Riley Leonard quote. God is good, and so is our defense. So, and that's a great idea.
I've already been doing it. I've been going back, reliving the game vicariously through YouTube, through social media. I equate it to it. we have a hockey team here, the Carolina Hurricanes. If you're not from around here, when they won the Stanley Cup in 2006, for the next week, I kept watching the highlights. It still brought goosebumps, watching it. Same thing with this. When I see the Riley touchdown, I get goosebumps. When I see the fans rush the field, I get goosebumps. I didn't go down there because, again, it was Heat 1, Brian nothing. But to just see that and it actually be a meaningful game, not a game where, we lost 42 in a row and we finally got our first victory over,
Richmond,
a Group 5 team, that meant something. So just living in the moment, enjoying it until we get to Saturday, because once we get to Saturday, next game's up.
Speaking of, I was down there on the field, and I went down with about 5 minutes to go once we realized we were actually winning the game, because I wanted to get down there with my media stuff. And so I got right in front of the students. Shout out to the Duke students. First of all, shout out to the guy who follows us, listens to our podcast. We followed you back. Hook us up, students. But then the energy was absolutely incredible. They all ran me over. I could tell I was 41 and out of shape. They were all 18 to 22 and like running past me and pushing me and knocking me down. But anyway, it was an experience I will never forget. I will never forget that. So shout out to the students.
As far as rushing the field, if I would have tried to rush the field, it would have been Stadium Steps 1, Jamie 0, and then Scott wouldn't have been the only one having to go.
I was going to say that would have been 2 of the 4 Section 17 guys going to the medical room.
Jamie already took a tumble earlier today.
My shin hurts like right now, like currently.
Nothing like an 8 a.m. tumble getting ready to set up for the tailgate with the hard hat guys.
Listen, guys, we had not been in the parking lot for 3 minutes, and Jamie is on the ground.
Some cuss words were said, rightfully so.
It was so good.
That's all. Only Jamie.
One more thing, as far as my T-shirt, I would have the visitors' locker room. I'd have Dabo walking with his head down, and my caption would be "Cry, Dabo, cry."
Like from behind, looking as he's walking, like a sunset. That's
I would say this. I'm not sure. Was that me?
Nope, you're good.
Okay.
It was Brian.
No, it was not.
Okay. Anyway, sorry, 'cause I thought that was something I did.
Nope.
But no, I would say the fact that we're how do you not? I mean, how do you go through the next 4 days and not celebrate the victory? It's one of the biggest of all time. I mean, unbelievable. As far as T-shirts, I mean, I don't know what you say to Dabo. It's got to be a Dabo shirt of some kind, because the Riley shirt would be great. I'm trying to keep it together while Jamie's laughing. Trying to get it for a second.
Scott, what about the David Feely quote? No one cares, work harder. That'd be a good
I think that would be
one.
a great shirt. Listen,
If
David Feely says it, man, that's quotable.
With
well
David's face right under it.
Yes.
Now, that would be perfect.
Oh yeah, I would wear that everywhere.
He would love that NIL deal.
By the way, if you need clothing tips, talk to David Feely. My man had the pinstripe suit on at the Devil Walk. He looked clean.
He was dropped right out of the Jersey Shore. Like they picked him up off the Jersey Shore and dropped him in Durham.
They restarted The Sopranos, and David Feely is the leading star on that one.
Yep.
David, we love you, bud.
Okay, I'm composed. Group chat 1, Jamie 0.
Brian 0 as well.
At Regina Lee _LA. Good to see her. Good to see her
again. Good to see her at the game. Yeah.
She flew in from Cali for the game.
You muted. You muted it. Mute button 1, Jamie 0.
Stupid computer.
Yeah.
Anyways, to the resident bolitologist, any updated projections?
Yes. Josh, you can go to bed. So I'll give everyone a sneak peek, because I'm working with Freddie Hodges at Duke Report. Again, thank you for the video for Coach Elko's post-game presser. So I had us in the Bad Boys Pinstripe Bowl, Duke North in New York City. After beating Clemson, I see us going to Orlando, popping open a couple Pop-Tarts and enjoying ourselves, fellas. That is the third best bowl so far. It's behind the Orange Bowl and the obviously the CFP.
Yeah.
We beat Florida State.
Oh,
We might be sucking down some vitamin C. So,
Yes.
but yeah, I'll explain it more in my article on Duke Report. Again, shout out Freddie.
All right. We're going to at Levi Haynes 10. How does this win propel Duke into the rest of the season?
Well, they already have confidence. They already think they're going to win every game. They already believe in their mind that they are the best team mentally, physically, and that they're going to outwork you, they're going to outscore you, and they're going to beat you. And that's a David Feely thing. And we don't need to keep David Feely constantly, but David Feely is the key, one of the huge keys of this deal. He has the mindset to these guys that they're not going to lose. And they love the chip on the shoulder. So the more the world is not behind them, the more they like to knock that wall down and lock that gate, shall we say.
On the flip side, and I'm not saying this is a downside, but now these teams know that this Duke team is for real. Going into the Clemson game, everyone said that 9-4 season was probably a flash in the pan. They've got a tougher schedule this year. Will they even make a bowl game? Some people were legitimately wondering if this Duke team could get 6 wins with who's on the schedule. Now all these teams are on alert. This team is not to be messed with. You've got to bring your A game if you want to beat Duke.
yeah. I mean, can I just say, like, I'll be the first to say, I mean, I was pessimistic about this game, even though I know we all picked Duke last week. We even convinced Scott to pick Duke. I had us losing, and in my season preview,
Same.
8-4, I had us losing. So, like, I think there was, and we're as close to the program as you can get, diehard fans as you can get, seen as much as you can see. And we were still in the back of our minds going, man, I wonder if last year was potentially because we had a schedule that was not too difficult.
More lax.
Correct. Because, maybe fumble recoveries. Like, who trains for fumble recoveries? The ball obviously bounced our way last year. So, yeah, are we really a 6-6 team? And, I was even at the point where heading the season, I'm like, you know what? Even if we are 6-6, let Elko stay here and go 6-6 for 15 years. We'll build a statue. We get a bowling every year. But he continues, and I say the staff, the program in general, continues to raise the bar. And I can't say enough about it, man.
Before we get to the next question, Justin, just let me know he's got some producing duties to do. So he's going to dip out, but he'll be back for the predictions for both score and jersey. Justin, thanks for coming on. We'll see you in a few, okay?
All right. Next question. We got Sam at LA Dodgers all day.
Every week.
Yeah. Did we end up having enough tissues? Now, we couldn't answer this last week.
Yeah.
Why didn't we get some tiger paw printed tissues?
That'd be
That
good.
would've
We could use the $2 bills.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, this is getting framed,
Easy.
buddy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Memories.
And he also says, who will we be playing in the CFP to Regina's questions?
Oh, gosh.
Bring,
Okay.
Bring on Georgia.
I'm going to be as nice as I can right now. I get it. I understand it, but we've got to tone it down because, God forbid, if we lose one of these games that we should win, people are going to point back to this episode. We're going to be, what's that Twitter account?
Old takes exposed. Old takes exposed.
Yeah. So let's. I get it, but come on, let's pump the brakes.
Let me say this real fast too, because this irritated the snot out of me last night, and I'm going to go ahead and just mention it. When the student section started chanting overrated, guess what just happened? We muffed the punt. Nah, let's not do that crap. When it's over with, do whatever you want to do. Then, it was in the second quarter.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
As soon as they chanted overrated, we muffed the punt.
That is a fourth quarter, up 28-7, 2 minutes to go. Chance.
Right before you're running on the field. Yes,
exactly.
Not in the second quarter.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's something we got to learn.
We were up a whopping 6-0 at the time.
Yes.
You don't chant overrated
Yes.
when you're up 6-0 in the
And
first
then a
half.
minute and a half later, it was 7-6 Clemson.
Yeah.
Next-
You're right, Scott.
Next question comes from at Sit NUOK. Are the recruits? Is there a buzz from the recruits like after this game? And I
Okay.
definitely got to be right.
Heck yeah. I mean, so there were right at 100 recruits that
100.
were there. Yeah. And then they were all on the field before the game, and I was just like milling my way through. And man, even before the game started, like the energy from the recruits, the families, people talking, recruits taking video and photos everywhere. Like I really do believe. I mean, listen, you pull off the biggest victory in the modern era of your program, and you have over 100 recruits there to see it. And there were committed recruits. Some of the guys we talked to, the Wades. There was a bunch. Kobe Smith. I think he's a defensive end, or I forget what he is. He was there. There was a bunch of people, and yeah, absolutely, it's super important. The vibe was awesome. The uniforms were on point. The play on the field was great. The fans were awesome. It was a perfect conglomeration for the recruits to be there.
And Elko and staff have already been killing it on the recruiting trail, so that does nothing but help for sure. I thought this was a good question from at Lisa Cadleck. She said, "There's a lot of talk about Clemson not being good. Is Clemson genuinely not as good as people thought, or is Duke better than what was projected, or is the answer somewhere in between?" And to me, it was a little bit of both. I mean, I thought Duke could have been a top 25 team to start the year, but maybe I was being a bit of a homer. But what do you guys think?
I'll equate it to this, and I found this very interesting. Do you guys remember, and I'm going to bring that round ball sport in for a second, when the one and done deal started up, Coach K was very hesitant to go one and done. And then you had a lot of programs do the one and done, win a lot of titles. Then by the time he did that, the one and done era of winning titles was over. I saw this today. FSU's team has, I think, 16 transfers currently on their team. Clemson on the current team has zero. So in that instance, I think Clemson's behind. I don't think this is a nail in the coffin for this season. I think this is going to be more motivation than anything. Cade Klubnik actually was talking about that post game, how this is only going to motivate them more. At the end of the season, I think with Clemson, if they're, let's say, 8-4, that's like an SEC school saying, "Hey, 10-2 just didn't cut it. Sorry, coach, you're on the hot seat now." I think Dabo's done enough to where an 8-win season is still good, but it's not to the expectation the last few years. So I think they're realizing that they need to dip into the transfer portal moving forward.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
No, I can speak into that a little bit too. Only time will tell with Clemson. I mean, this is going to either be. Here's the thing: Duke fans can do. We can live in the moment. We know heading into that game last night, they were ranked number 9 in the country, and most people picking them to win the ACC or they were Florida State, right? So, like, we know that. We know they came in feeling like a top 10 team. They left last night not knowing how good they are. That's the truth.
And
vice versa for Duke. We came in like, I think we're good. I think we know we're bigger, faster, stronger. And then now we kind of look ahead where Clemson's trying to figure out probably how good they're going to be.
right.
I think the
Go ahead.
biggest problem for Dabo is going to be Trevor Lawrence isn't walking through that door, and Klubnik was questionable at best. Now he had some moments, and he made some great throws. There was sometimes he made some great throws, and then there were some times where, like we mentioned earlier, we could have picked him off 5 times.
I got to ask this. If DJ Ukulele was still there, would it have been a different game?
I think it would have been the same.
I think it would have been the same.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda, but genuinely, had he not transferred out.
I'm gonna say, well, here's my part of the thing, and here's what I'll say. I think as the season progresses, they're going to follow that 1-2 Maffa Shipley combo. They're
Ground
going to
raid.
do a lot of that. They're going to do a lot of that two back offense that they were running against Duke, and against lesser teams in the ACC, they're going to get away with long runs there, where the defense is not as old or reactive as the Duke defense was. So I think that's going to help them the further they go down the schedule. But as we said before the season started, this is a brand new system. This is their first game. So to me, if you're a Clemson fan, you can't wave the white flag yet because it's the first game. As a Duke fan, I don't think we're overly confident in what happened. I think we knew that Duke could go against these guys, and we knew you give Santucci and Elko 8 months to look at something, they're going to be able to figure a way to stop it. And hello, they did.
Charleston Southern plays Clemson this weekend, so I think.
Oh yeah, their next 2 games are.
Yeah, Clemson's going to get back
They're
on
playing their
track.
SEC schedule in the next 2 weeks.
Right.
So that could get ugly.
Yep.
I'm going to move on to Facebook now because we got several over there too. Aaron Butner, good friend. We've known him for quite some time. How about those special teams? Because let's be honest, it was amazing last night with block kicks, made kicks, Porter bombing punts. Like,
You're forgetting someone. Who are you forgetting? Who are you forgetting, Jamie?
Come on, Jamie.
Todd Polina.
Todd.
Yes.
I said
Nope.
made kicks. I didn't mention him by name. And
And Charlie
Charlie Ham.
kickoffs. Listen,
was
I
bombing
told him
the
after the
kickoffs.
game on the field, I'm like, dude, the fact that they didn't touch a kickoff
Yes.
was awesome. That was awesome. Charlie was great. We knew Todd was going to be spot on. On my prediction to ESPN, we were going to win on a Todd Polino made field goal. That didn't happen, but he was awesome. And then Porter, that one punt was net 70.
That was in the
Yes.
third. That was in the third quarter, right, where he just
Yeah.
completely flipped
Flipped
the field.
Flipped it.
Like,
And he outkicked the coverage because literally they couldn't get down there in time to get that ball before it
And
went into the end zone.
the ball almost died on the one.
Yep.
Like, had it died on the one, it would have been like one of the
Oh,
most
my
amazing
goodness.
punts I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And listen, we can do this because this dude's a fifth-year senior. Duke did not play a perfect game. Okay?
Right.
So Jalen Calhoun muffs a punt. Right? It led to their only touchdown. Now, I understand they fumbled the ball inside the 10 with Klubnik and the handoff. I understand that Anthony Nelson put the smackdown on Maffa and he fumbled the ball and Stinson picked it up. So I do understand they could have scored again, but if we don't muff that punt, speaking of special teams, there's a chance they don't score the entire game. And we kind of chuckled with Jordan Mann in our preview episode about, do we really think this team could have a shutout? And they could have done it against Clemson in week 1. Oh, Lord Jesus.
Matt Simpson asked, when do we think the national media will stop disrespecting Duke? And to that I say, just win, baby.
October
Just win.
October 1st.
Yeah.
I think it was at 12 midnight, September 5th of 2023, based off of everything I was seeing in the replays.
There was a lot of talk of still like what's wrong with Clemson though. I get where people were seeing the disrespect too, but
Right. And don't get me wrong, had Clemson won that game last night, it would have been par for the course, status quo, move on to week 2. But prime time, it was the only game on. The country was watching. You can't keep saying, oh, well, they lucked into this one and, they're probably going to get their butts handed to them by Notre Dame and Florida State, Louisville, and whoever, because this is exactly what it was like last year, because people thought we would get killed by Miami. People thought that Virginia was going to take us out back like they've done. Should have beaten Pitt. If we're being completely honest, the stupid pigeons got in the way. I honestly think it's going to be a lot quicker this year than it was last year for the national media to say this team's not going anywhere.
I honestly, on Saturday 9:30, whatever time the Notre Dame game ends, we'll answer that question. They beat Notre Dame. They're 5-0. The narrative has totally changed.
Josh, what did you
But
say you were
we're
going to
going to get
do if
there.
they were 5-0? You said it last. I think you said in the predictions episode, if Duke is 5-0 after Notre Dame, I'm doing something. I can't remember.
I forget what it was because it was overshadowed by Jordan saying
I
that
wouldn't have any pants
he would
on.
have no pants on. So I can't even remember what I said.
Okay.
But I listen now because once again I'm being honest. I was playing all of that off the fact that we lose last
Yep.
night. So I'm thinking that's not even a thing. Well, number one, we do not know how good Notre Dame is. We're going to find out a whole lot more about Notre Dame this Saturday in Raleigh. We'll find out a heck of a lot more about them playing Ohio State.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, we could not to get ahead of ourselves. We could very well go in that game 4-0, and that line is going to be a whole lot closer than what people thought at the beginning of the season.
But will it though? But will it? Going back to the last question, what will the bookmakers? Because they had Clemson as a 13-point favorite heading into kickoff.
Yeah, but did they learn their lesson? That's what I'm saying.
Right. And I'm agreeing with you that Duke could be 5-0 heading or 4-0 heading into the Notre Dame game, and they could still be a 15-point underdog.
Bring that. I'll take that. I'll drive to Virginia to do
that.
Notre Dame could be 3-2. They could lose
very
Saturday to Raleigh, and they could lose to Ohio State.
And Duke would still be a 15-point underdog.
Or they could be 5-0. If they're 5-0, I can promise you they'll be a 15-point underdog.
Mm-hmm.
At least.
All right. Next question. I thought this was a good one. Kristen Janger. Which new to Duke players made the biggest impact Monday night? And did the portal help us? And to that, I say absolutely did. Al Blades, Miles. I mean, those are two guys that right off the top of my head.
Jeremiah Lewis coming back.
Jeremiah Lewis coming back. Yeah.
Scott Elliott. We mentioned the rotation offensive line.
Jay Cornybrook.
After he had to get the jitters out. He got that first penalty on the first play. But he got the jitters out. Elliott allowed us to rotate in. Some move Monk over to right guard a little bit. And but listen, we cannot overstate Jeremiah Lewis, Al Blades, and Miles Jones. Like, we cannot overstate how important those guys are. And, man, I don't know. I haven't followed the Miles Jones story, but we all know that the reason why he's been in college so long has been injuries. And so, like, to me, to see that guy on the stage like that against a team like Clemson and playing as well as he did, you got to love it for him and his kids, his grandkids.
Yeah.
Well, hey, go ahead.
The Wallabaugh kids.
Yeah, he's on the Jack Wallabaugh scholarship.
What I was going to say was this, that everybody we've talked to so far has said this over and over again. Al Blades has come in and been the voice as he's come in. He's been a leader. He's rallied the troops. He's done a lot of stuff. So to me, that's the key impact when you can bring an older guy in with experience to help these younger guys to make them better.
All right. So, Chris McCurdy, is the Clemson era over? No. Or is their domination overnight? And I don't think so.
I think we already discussed this. Yeah. They're going to get back on track these next 2 weeks.
All right. Yes, I agree with us. I'm not arguing against us. Let me give you the other side. There is no Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson. Okay? There's no Brent Venables. Like, and I'm not, this is nothing against Dabo. Listen, Dabo Swinney still has this ability to for first round draft picks to forego going to the draft to stay and play for him. I got respect for that. But, like, I wonder if, like, the lack of a generational quarterback talent, or I say generational, the lack of an elite quarterback talent, and the lack of long-standing offensive coordinators. Tony Elliott leaves 2 years ago. Venables leaves 2 years ago. He stays 1 year with OC, brings in Riley. I just think it's not for sure, but could Clemson turn into more of that, like, 9-3, 8-4 team? It's possible. It's possible.
I will say this real fast. We'll know a little bit more about what kind of season it's going to be for them on the 23rd. Tallahassee comes up to them. Florida State, they host them there. Let's be honest, if they have 2 conference losses after that, their conference season is over. Unless once you get past Florida State, it's just everybody beating the snot out of each other for the next 2.5 months.
All right. Next question comes from Jarrett Manning. And this is an interesting question because it's happened to Duke for years now. How do we keep the crowd from leaving after halftime? Because I didn't notice it too bad at the game last night, but there's always been that thing like where Duke crowd just kind of
I-
mills out.
I'll make it very simple. Let the people back in. If you
Exactly.
haven't listened to our episode right after Elko was hired, take a listen to it of suggestions we gave to the program to make things better. It used to be a thing. You could go out, do whatever you need to do, get your hand stamped. Guess what? Come on back in. Find your seat. We'd love to have you back. Now, you go through those gates, you're not allowed back in until next week.
Listen, Scott and I used to go to Carter Finley every weekend for NC State games. They used to allow re-entry. People would leave during halftime, go back to their tailgate, come back in for the second half. But you know what's changed between now and then? It's that alcohol. Okay, so like they are not going to allow re-entry anymore because they want everyone buying the overpriced alcohol in the stadium. And so here's the thing. I get it. Listen, I understand. Like that's part of the revenue generation that these places have to do. But who's going to be the first one to be like, okay, we're going to forego a little bit of financial profit here to like hopefully create a better third and fourth quarter environment? Because Jamie, as I was standing out kind of out in the little area outside of section 17 during halftime, and there were people leaving because literally some Clemson fans we were talking to was like, do you guys allow re-entry? And I'm like, nope. And they're like, what's with all these Duke fans? So it wasn't crazy, but there were, and I get it, 8 p.m. start. You got kids, maybe have school today. I get it. But I think to answer the question, re-entry is like the big answer. But I mean, winning close football games at home, making an actual home field advantage where the players run out and they don't see empty blue seats everywhere, like kind of creating that environment. That's going to keep people around. Not losing close games, not wetting the bed every time it's a Thursday night ESPN game, and you get everybody there, and then you suck, and then nobody wants to come back to the next game. So I think all those things Duke is doing. They showed up at a Monday night game. They got another opportunity when they play Wake Forest on a Thursday night. You got to show up in those moments to get people to come back.
Yep. Next, we're here for the hard-hitting stuff too.
Oh boy.
Noah Lunsford on Facebook.
Here we go.
This is
Here
absolutely.
we go.
This is
Yes.
the most amazing question I've ever read in my life. And after meeting Noah, I'm not that surprised. He had a great time, and he was awesome. It was awesome to meet you, Noah. We had a good time there. What are the chances I get my shoes back I lost during the field storming? Also, has any Duke fan ever walked back to the trail lot with no shoes, possibly buzzed with no phone flashlight because of a dead battery, asking for a friend?
Oh my
Amazing.
gosh.
Amazing.
That is so. Look, that kid was on fire from the kickoff until the final whistle, man. Like if you right now, I don't care where your seats are. Let's be real. It's Wallace Wade. Sit wherever the heck you want. I don't care where your seats are. If you want to have fun, come up to the top of section 17. I don't care if you've never met us before. It isn't really about us four or whatever. It's the people that sit around us, the entertainment. It's incredible.
Scott yelling at the refs.
Yeah, Scott was good.
Knows
Scott
them
was
by
good.
name.
Yeah, but Scott was good, man. Scott
He
had just
was,
been
he
risen
was.
from the dead. So
Yes, that is true.
So
Scott
there were
was
very
good.
few penalties I disagreed with. So we were good.
Oh my gosh. That's not the
that's-
question, Noah.
That's breaking news.
Listen, there was not one holding call on either team, I don't believe.
Right. Oh yes, especially
no.
the one where Jordan Moore's shoulder was almost
Yeah.
separated from where the guy was
No
pulling
holding
on
call.
the jersey.
It was like the officials are like, man,
We
we
want
ain't
to go
touching
home.
it.
They
Yeah,
were
we-
like,
Yeah, the
ready to go
officials
home.
were going like this
it's
to
like
both teams.
it's an 8 p.m. start on Labor Day, man. My kids got school tomorrow.
They have my bedtime.
Yeah. All right, cool. Noah,
Right.
shout out, dude. Noah, every game.
Reach out to Game Day. In all honesty, reach out to Game Day operations if you haven't already.
Yeah. Seriously, they might actually have them, or the
They
Duke
probably
police
have a lost and found.
The Duke police might have a lost and found as well.
If anybody sees them though, just bring them to Section 17 next week.
Amazing. Jacob Hagler, shout out sponsors.
Come from mechanical contractors.
He just has a comment. It was awesome to hear his former high school teammate Trey Freeman's name called so much last night. He said he's just an amazing defensive weapon, and I think we all agree here. This can possibly turn into a Trey Freeman fan club.
Yeah, we do not put down any players on this podcast. And even if there was a bad performance, we're not going to do that. It's football. Mistakes happen. They're going to be made. There wasn't a single player on the defense last night that made really a mistake. Even the Cam Dillon targeting, that was very because Kay was sliding. Cam had already started to lunge forward, thinking he was still going to be on his feet. Yeah, this defense was fantastic all around.
And if Dorian can stay healthy, and we have that 4-man rotation with him and Trey Freeman. Listen, we saw Trey Freeman in the Military Bowl be an elite level linebacker, and he came playing the best competition he's played so far in his college career was last night, and he showed out. So that 4-man rotation, Nick Morse Jr., Dorian Moosey, Trey Freeman, and our guy Cam Dillon, I think the linebacker position looks great. And Trey, honestly, helping lead it. Go ahead, Scott.
I'm going to say we are this close, if you can see my hands. We're this close away from Trey Freeman picking up that fumble in the third quarter and running it back possibly for a touchdown, or doing something similar to what Stinson did on the other end. Because he had his hands on the ball, and it was like somebody on the pile, under the pile of the ground grabbed it out of his hand. Because it was him and nobody on that sideline for a while.
Yeah. Been a scoop and scur.
That's right.
Yep. We got one more question from Facebook. How disappointing? Jamie Hagler, I'm sorry.
Wait.
Come from mechanical contractors.
Ba-boom.
There we go.
How disappointing will it be if the seats aren't filled with blue in the coming weeks? And that's a fair question.
This Saturday they will have some help.
It's human being day.
For a half at the most.
Yeah, they are paying people $10 to come to the game this Saturday.
It is a fair question though, because Duke fans, we know how they are. So what about Northwestern the following week? Would be the
That's
game
the
that concerns me.
Yeah,
Now,
because it's a 3:30 kick also.
3:30
for the record.
I'll just say this: if you're a fan, especially to this game this Saturday, and you don't have tickets and you want tickets, let us know. Like, hit us up. We can hook you up.
And I don't mean to interrupt. Don't say that it takes too much out of your time, because after the month of September, Duke's only in Wallace Wade, I think, once for the month of October.
One in October, 2 in November.
Right. So if you want to see this team, you need to get out the month of September. Northwestern, Lafayette this week. Of course, the big game, Notre Dame. And then you've got to start up October after the bye week, NC State.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll do everything we can, for sure, to help you get your butt in the seats. So, Jamie, thanks for running that, dude. That's like the longest Q&A we've ever done. But we're like, you know what? It was Clemson.
It's worth every minute.
And I made it through mostly, like, without.
You did.
Although there was 1 or 2 times maybe.
That's correct. Well, whoever had that audio, we're still not sure what that was. But
it was epic, though.
It was.
You're welcome. You're welcome, folks.
It was epic. We do want to remind you before we head into some of our weekly segments, if you don't already, to follow us on social media, Twitter and Facebook, and Instagram, at Duke FB Talk, TikTok as well. DukeFootballTalk.com is where you can find all of our content. Let's see here. Helmet stickers. YouTube now for video. Subscribe. If you're watching right now, subscribe, like the video, comment. We'll interact in the comments. Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rating and review. not just a rating, but leave a review if we've earned it. Leave us a review. And then Spotify, five-star reviews or ratings are awesome. You guys are awesome. Like, we don't say our fans, that's stupid. We are fellow fans with you guys, and we love it that you continue listening and watching, and we would appreciate it if you would share it. If you share it with some of your friends, maybe some Duke football fans that from old times who've kind of lost contact with Duke football, share it with them. Maybe it's new. Hey, listen, I just moved to the area, looking for a team. So anyway, share that. We appreciate all your support on social media.
All right, so the mailbag's done. Wow, yeah, that was a long mailbag. Like Santa coming into town. But we've got to get back to the swing of things for our weekly segments. With our newest segment, Scott's taken a hold of this one. It's This Week in Duke Football History. Scott, what do you have for us leading into the Lafayette game?
So for this week in Duke football history, we're going to go back to September the 5th, 1987, when the old ball coach, Steve Spurrier, who was at the game last night and got booed and cheered, which was very entertaining, coached his first game as a Duke head football coach in front of, at that time, 18,000 fans was a big deal. Duke would end up winning that game over Colgate 41-6. They would go on to win 4 more games that year and give Spurrier a 5-6 record in his first season as the football coach at Duke. Spurrier would coach the Blue Devils for 2 more seasons before leaving Durham to go to his alma mater in Florida. While at Duke, he had a record of 20-13. And that was This Week in Duke Football History, brought to you by Bull City Sheet Metal. No matter what your duck needs, if your air goes through it, they'll make it. Give them a call today at 919-354-0993 or visit bullcitysheetmetal.com.
Did we just get sponsored by Aflac?
And before anybody, I understand that's not the same word, okay? Before somebody hits me on Twitter, it's duck with a T. Anyway.
That was a good impersonation.
I'm just being stupid, okay?
But for the record, now they have a Colorado Buffalo as part of the Aflac.
That's true. I saw that.
thing.
Coach Prime.
That's right.
Hey, we made it an hour and 7 minutes without mentioning Deion Sanders. How cool is that? Sorry, Scott.
Had to.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
Brian, you ready?
Oh, I've been ready. We got a good
All right.
one on the docket for Tell of the Tape.
So at the end of the day, guys, we've spent the majority of this time talking Clemson. Listen, we can overlook Lafayette a little bit because guess what? We're not a coach, and we're not in the locker room. We're not on the team. But we know this Duke team is not going to overlook Lafayette, and they have already turned the page. They're already looking forward to it. So we're going to look forward to it. And so Brian, bring us the ever popular 4th season of the Tell the Tape. Brian Kennedy.
Thank you, Josh. Tell the tape for the Lafayette Leopards of the Patriot League. Last year, Lafayette went 4-7 and did not make it to the FCS tournament. Currently, Lafayette's 1-0, and last week the Leopards defeated Sacred Heart 19-14. Head coach John Troxell is in his 2nd season with the Leopards and has a 97-74 overall record. Before coaching Lafayette, Troxell was the head coach of Division III school Franklin and Marshall. Now, Lafayette has one of the oldest football programs in the United States and has fielded a football team since 1882. And they've also won 3 national titles in 1896, 1921, and 1926. Lafayette's also a part of the most played rivalry in college football. They've played against Lehigh every year since 1884, and Lafayette leads the series overall 81-72 with 5 ties. Now, this is the first ever matchup between Duke and Lafayette, with Lafayette being the 36th different non-FBS school the Duke Blue Devils have played in school history. Lafayette has a 10-11-2 record against ACC schools, and the last time Lafayette played a current member of the ACC was Syracuse all the way back in 1951. So not many opportunities for the Leopards to play an ACC school. Overall, Duke is 106, 25-5 all-time against non-FBS opponents. And the last time Duke fell to an FCS school was 2011 when Duke was defeated by the Richmond Spiders. I was at that game. That was a tough one, 23-21. And now it's time for the Did You Know? The Lafayette Leopards once helped pave the way to overturn segregation in bowl games. After ending the 1948 season at 7-2, Lafayette was invited to play in the 1949 Sun Bowl against the UTEP Miners. The team was going to accept the bowl bid, but segregation policies that were in place at the time prohibited star running back David Scholl from playing in the bowl game. Scholl, who was 24 at the time, had delayed going to college to fight in World War II and was a member of the famous Tuskegee Airmen during the war. On November 23, 1948, 4 days after being invited to the Sun Bowl, Lafayette rejected the bowl bid in protest of Scholl not being allowed to play. The team would be replaced by the West Virginia Mountaineers. The bowl rejection by Lafayette led to on-campus student demonstrations in support of Scholl. The bowl rejection also led to demonstrations in the city of El Paso, Texas, where the Sun Bowls played every year. While the protest did not get immediate results, El Paso officials would vote on October 27, 1950, to allow UTEP to include black players in games played in El Paso. A year after this decision, the Sun Bowl would host its first integrated football game. Many have stated that Lafayette's rejection to play in the Sun Bowl in 1949 was the beginning of desegregation in college football. And that was the Did You Know for the Lafayette Leopards.
That is awesome. The Tell the Tape is brought to you by our friends at the Durham Devils Club. We are partners with them. If you'd like an inside look at the Duke football program, if you would like to help move forward in the NIL space for Duke football players, come be a part of the Durham Devils Club. You can find out more information at durhamdevilsclub.com.
There you go.
Boom.
And
Justin, man. Justin's back.
He's done with his producing duties
For
He's
now.
back.
for now.
So,
Yeah.
so Justin, you're the man behind all this. So by the way, guys, every bit of audio, the stuff we're doing on YouTube, Justin's been doing this since we started. We got another guy, Tyler. Shout out to Tyler Splash Obi, helping with some of the social media reels and stuff like that. But Justin, just talk through, man. Like, where'd you tell people how you got in this? You're like a self-taught dude, right? Like, tell us how you got into that stuff.
Yeah, this is just a hobby. I don't know. It's just something I've always enjoyed doing.
And you're a problem
myself.
solver.
Yeah.
Taught himself, problem solver. Anytime, literally, we'll get done with this episode, and like sometimes in like an hour and a half, depending on his schedule, like it's done. And so,
And he has a lot of work to do with my stuff usually. Like,
yes,
I'm usually
quit
pretty
trying.
stressful. Yeah.
I was going to say, I think that's what keeps him going, though.
yes. Now, Justin, we have to ask you because you get the inside look here before everybody else. Do you get cracking up laughing at Jamie? Is it weekly, every week? Does he get you laughing when you're listening?
Yeah, I definitely couldn't sit in on this every week. That would help.
Justin's family are like, what is wrong with him? He's in there just laughing at nothing. But no, we appreciate Justin, and guys, give Justin a shout out online as well. Sometimes we do our best to do that, but we appreciate him and all he does for us. We mentioned earlier following us on social. Just a reminder on that stuff. Really important for us that you guys share. Shout out to Derek Lively for sharing a post today. That's always a good thing. I think we added, if I'm not mistaken, guys, in the last 24 hours, we've added over 100 followers or something like that.
We're close to 5,000.
Yeah. We blew past that 4,500 real quick. And so it's all because of you guys. You guys are awesome. Come hit the tailgate with us this Saturday, Lafayette with the Hard Hat guys. Shout out, man, Matt Tedder, Alex Tedder, Mike Hardison, the Hard Hat guys. They put on an epic tailgate this past week. We're going to do it again this Saturday. We understand it might not be as big, but that means there's more food for you. So get your tail there this Saturday. We'll be there for lunch. We'll let you know the time just follow us on Twitter, Facebook. We'll let you know the time when everything will hit. But we want to see you this Saturday at the tailgate in lot B5.
Speaking of social media, Josh, a great segue. We've got some giveaways for our prediction winners from the Clemson game, both Twitter and Facebook. So I'll just we'll jump right in it, guys, because we're going to be giving our predictions for the upcoming game, as well as what we think the team is going to wear on the field. So on Facebook, Cindy Rigsby, congratulations. You win a Section 17 t-shirt. Cindy predicted Duke to win 28-21. So congrats, Cindy. And on Twitter, fellas, we had a three-way tie. We had three people guess the same exact score. One, Mr. Bob Green, who has been a longtime follower, Timothy Gonzalez, and Blake Brinkley. They all predicted Duke to win 28-24. You know what, guys? Instead of a tiebreaker, I'm just going to call it. Let's give them all a Section 17 t-shirt. So, guys, congratulations. This episode will drop tomorrow. Well, we're recording on a Tuesday night. It'll drop on a Wednesday, and we'll ask for your predictions for the upcoming game against Lafayette on Thursday. Please, please, please,
Peter Dodge.
Put your score in the post with the predictions. Don't retweet and quote your score because it will not be seen. I'm sorry if you had a closer score and it wasn't in there. I didn't see it, so better luck next time.
And by the way, you will be we'll reach out to you on Twitter from our account. Scott's going to be helping with some of this stuff now with the t-shirts. So on Facebook, you might get a message from one Mr. Scott Medlin. And if you do, Cindy, it's because we're trying to give you a free t-shirt. If you don't respond, we're not gonna track you down. We're gonna send you a message, and you need to get back to us. And so yeah, that's really cool. We did make it that far as well, an hour and 16 minutes before we mentioned Peter Dodge, and it was good to see Peter.
Oh, I mentioned him once.
I
mentioned him once with the Colgate. Yeah, the
last
last time.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, that's my guy, man.
He did respond and say that he was studying for a test, and Jack could vouch for him in the library.
One of the funniest guys ever.
Listen, Jack Wallabaugh, if you watch us and you're listening to us, we do it out of love. We love you, buddy. We were appreciative of your time at Duke. So
what's funny about it, fans, you might think like, oh, you guys know Jack really well, just like we know Riley really well. We know, Dwayne. We really don't. We never had a conversation with Jack. So we kind of pick on Jack without really knowing him. And so, yeah, if anybody ever tells him, like, we're messing with you.
He has liked some of our posts, so that leads me to believe that he's a good sport. So,
yeah.
All right, fellas, it's time. Let's dive in. Let's give our thoughts on the score prediction as well as the jersey. There we go. I'm backwards. Jersey combo prediction, what we think the team's going to wear. Justin, you've been off camera doing some work. We're going to let you go first. Give us what you think the score is going to be, who's going to win, and then what is the team going to wear both helmet and jerseys.
All right. Well, obviously, I'm going to pick Duke to win. I think the final score is going to be 41-3.
Okay.
And I can see them wearing the icy whites with the script helmet.
You think the script's coming back?
Yeah, I think it will. I mean,
okay.
Who knows? Yeah.
41-3, icy white script. Okay. Yep. Who's next?
I'll go.
Okay.
I've got 49-10. Duke, 49-10. I believe we are going to. I think this is going to be the Henry Beelan introduction, not starting, but I think we're going to see a little bit of our guy Grayson Loftus too. So I think it's going to be good to see some young players. 49-10. I've got Duke wearing white lids with the blue Hellraiser, and I've got blue, white lid with the Hellraiser, blue. And I'm just telling you, all right. Full disclosure, guys, we knew about those Gothic helmets before our episode last week. We had to lie. We had to act like we didn't know. We have no clue from the rest of the season. We have no idea what Duke's wearing. So, I think putting the Hellraiser on the 35-yard line, I don't know if that's something, but I'm kind of leaning into that maybe this year that's going to be the helmet of choice, and anything else is going to be an alternative. So that's what I'm thinking. It doesn't really matter. Just win the football game.
Yeah. So I agree with you almost on point with the jersey combo, Josh. I think they're going to keep the Gothic Duke on the white helmet just because of the big win against Clemson last night. And they're going to go blue. So white, blue, but with the Gothic Duke. It's going to stay.
And shout out to Wesley. I mean, he's got a quick turnaround. He's like, guys, can we just wear the same?
Yeah.
Please, can we wear the same helmet?
Y'all are wearing everything the same. We're not we're not even going to throw them in the wash.
Wesley's like, nah, man, that's too quick.
Hey, and just going to throw this out there. There might be some mini helmets with that coming soon. Just follow my Twitter for more details, or my X. As far as the score, and I wrote this earlier today, I've got Duke winning. I've got them winning 45-17. I think there's going to be some kids that get in the game that haven't seen as much action. I think there's going to be some mistakes made, but look, it's learning. You're not on the field that much. I think they're going to give up maybe a score or two late, like we typically do with a FCS or a lower tier team. But yeah, Duke 45-17 again. White helmet with the Gothic Duke and blue on blue.
I'll go next. As far as the uniforms, I go blue lid, white D, blue jersey.
Whoa. Smaller, big. Big.
All right. Big white D.
There you go. Attaboy.
There we go. All right. I actually said it this week.
There you go. You got through it.
Blue jersey and white pants. Pretty standard.
Okay.
As far as the score, I'm sorry, Lafayette. Like I feel like I should. I mean, I'm completely disrespecting you, but you can go cry. Like, so whatever. I don't care. You barely beat Sacred Heart. 52-3, dude.
So you do have them scoring at least something, though.
Yeah, I'll give them 3.
Okay.
But this could be the shutout. I mean, it's possible. I think they'll get 3.
Hold on, don't go down that road yet. Good
Oh.
night. Why you gotta step on my toes, man? Come on.
Hopefully we don't
Lord
have to
have
convince.
mercy.
Hopefully we don't have to convince Scott this week.
So hey, just to give you a little bit of Lafayette information, their quarterback last week threw for 40 yards, and their running back rushed for 181 yards in the game. So don't think they throw the football much. So we're going to see a lot of running, a lot of ground and pound.
Not triple option, I pray.
I don't think it's triple option, but if it is, Lord have mercy.
Yeah, Lord help us.
Hope not.
So let's see. Uniform combo.
Save the knees.
Yeah.
I kind of like the blue lid with the white Hellraiser.
Mm.
I in all honesty, I said this last night joking. I really think that if you want to be a superstitious person, you stay with the same helmet they wore last game because it's new and it has a W in it. But that's just me. Definitely a blue jersey. The pants I'm going back and forth on. I think a blue out would be cool, but I do think they're going to go with the white pants. So blue, whitish, blue, white. Then for the score, since somebody screwed that up for me a second ago, Jamie.
Damn it, Jamie.
I'm going to actually go, since I did, the only person that was crazy enough to pick them to have a shutout, I'm going to go 38-0. Because I do think even with the third string guys in, or fourth string, or guys who don't get a lot of playing time, which is a great opportunity for them to get a chance to play in a Division I football game, I still think they're going to be able to hold them up. And, hey, why not go crazy and wild? Let's just go ahead and shut them out now. I go ahead and get at least one check mark going my way, since nothing else is going my way on the check mark list through game 1.
Really quick, and I just found this out. Anyone want to guess the last time the blue helmet with the white Hellraiser was used?
It was a UNC game. It has to be a UNC game.
It was a UNC game, but guess the year.
Was it the Breon? The two-hand pass.
Was it
Brian Fields pick six?
No, because that was at UNC. It would have been
Was that
that
UNC?
would have yeah.
Daniel Jones was it DJS game?
It was
2012.
No, it was not. It was not the handshake game. It was 2016. It has been 7 years since we have seen the blue helmet.
And that was a W.
Yeah,
that was a win because Carolina was ranked. I learned that earlier in this episode.
Was that the game?
I learned that.
Was that 17-16? The final score?
28-27.
Okay, no.
Was
I was
the
thinking of
final
a different game.
The white Hellraiser, or the white helmet with the blue Hellraiser, was last used in 2021.
Yeah.
So Duke football equipment, Wes, buddy, help us out here. Let's get these Hellraisers back on the field.
Man, it ain't Wes's thing. It ain't his call.
He's got some. Hey, if he's putting the logos on the helmet, he's going to say yes or no.
Shout out Wes, man. Just good people. Just good people.
Good people all
For
around.
sure.
All right. Well,
Y'all got anything? As my dad would say, all hearts and minds clear.
Big Cox.
Yeah. Shout out.
Shout out Big Cox.
Yep.
Inside joke, fellas. If you come to the tailgate, we'll tell you the story about that.
Yeah. Yeah, just a reminder, tailgate, we'll let you know. Follow us on social media. We'll let you know the times we'll be there, what we're going to be having to eat. And once again, thanks to the Hard Hat guys for putting on just an incredible tailgate. So it's been the Clemson reaction episode, guys. We got that dub, Duke fans, and let's ride that momentum wave.
I say, and we didn't have to listen to Tiger rag much at all last night.
No.
Hey,
It wasn't Rocky
I got to
Top
be honest. I actually
1,000
thought
times.
their fans were pretty decent. Like I didn't see
Yeah.
much craziness. I think they were fine.
There were a couple of obnoxious ones, but I think Durham PD quickly stepped in and asked them to stop. So
I mean, at the end of the day,
it happens.
imagine if our football program was as successful as theirs. Like
Oh,
we'd be insufferable. So
Yeah.
I give a free pass.
They also could kind of see the way the game was going. I mean, even by halftime, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, again, fans, enjoy this one until we get to Saturday, because when Saturday comes, we move on to the next game against the Lafayette Leopards. But another episode in the books. We hope you have enjoyed it. As Josh said, it was more Clemson reaction than Lafayette prediction or preview. But hey, only so often in one's lifetime do you get a big victory such as this. But until next time, for Josh Cox, for Jamie Holt, for Scott Medlin, and for the always great producer Justin Sykes, I'm Brian Kennedy, and this has been another episode of the Duke Football Talk Section 17 podcast.
Now turn the music up.